every single time I make my research for new videos, I always notice something really sad. Hillbilly is, out of the original characters, the one with the least interesting things and facts. And now it's even worse. Not only did he suffer with the overheat mechanic being introduced, but also they are soon removing Skybilly out of the game. To show appreciation to one of the most hated killers by behavior, I am on duty to show you some cool but useless facts about our boy Hillbilly. Did you know that the overheat mechanic is not the first nerf Billy got to his power? Originally, way back in 2016, Hillbilly had a tech called the Flick, where he could flick his chainsaw at the end of a dash in order to instantly down survivors that tried to juke him. This was a very popular thing with top tier Hillbilly mains at the time, and a term was created called Skill Billy or Flick Billy. The developers fixed this as they said it was a mechanic that they did not intend, and the community got really mad at it. Another thing that you might not know is a fun fact about the theme music of Hillbilly in the lobby. It is basically a remix of an old lobby theme, the Halloween 2017 when Freddy Krueger was released. I'll let you take a listen so you can compare for yourself. As you can hear, they are very similar. There were a lot of issues with Hillbilly's name early on in the community, as people assumed that, since he was a malformed child, his parents did not give him any name in order to dehumanize him more. But later on the official DVD website, his name was revealed to be Max Thompson Jr. This caused a small discussion in the community where people asked why his father would give his own name to his son that he didn't love. And it was later revealed that on his Tome archive, Hillbilly was never officially named and he was always called Boy. It was him who took the name of his father for himself. And talking about their parents, currently they are known as Max Thompson and Evelyn Thompson, but originally their family was called Adams. This is possibly their early concept name. There's also inconsistencies on the lore of the maps, as originally their bodies were supposed to be lost and never found, but in other lore pieces we get confirmation that the bodies were found in a basement or in a water silo. There's definitely a lot of inconsistencies. And since we're talking about the farm maps, I thought it would be cool to add an old fact about the farm. Originally, the jungle gym walls on the farm had holes on them, meaning that survivors could easily loop the killers since they could see through the holes. This was later fixed, and the devs put wooden planks all over the tile walls. One of Hillbilly's perks, Tinkerer, has a lot of interesting things about it. First of all, for all new players, did you know that Tinkerer used to have a completely different effect in the past? Instead of being this strong perk that it is now, Tinkerer used to increase the effect of your charge time add-ons, and this made a lot of killers have a very fast charge time when combined with this add-on. For example, Hillbilly could insta-saw you very easily, and Huntress could also charge her hatchets to the max super fast. To this day, this is the only perk in the game that modified the actual power of the killers, but of course this was a nightmare to balance. And I mean it literally. The Nightmare, upon release, had absolutely zero synergy with Tinkerer because he had no charge power. So, they reworked it and made it the Tinkerer all blights now love. But that's not all for Tinkerer. Did you know that in the past, this perk had a quote that called Hillbilly as the Crooked? Well, Crooked is the code name of Hillbilly and his early name. In the end, they decided to go with Hillbilly instead. Which name do you prefer? Comment down below so I know your answers. And now let's talk about Hillbilly's voice. Did you know that he got a lot of voice changes in the game's development? For a very short period of time during the game's release, Hillbilly had a very monster-like sound that you can hear here. Later on, Hillbilly got his voice changed into what we have nowadays. However, the pitch of his voice was different and possibly unfiltered, as it sounded very human. There is an issue with Benedict Baker's description of Hillbilly, as according to his journal, he describes a chainsaw, yet the journal was made in 1896, and the first handheld chainsaw was made later. The only chainsaws that existed during this time were only used for medicinal purposes, and it's very unlikely that Benedict Baker knew that Hillbilly was using one. Hillbilly has a Boy Scout outfit that has a very cool Easter egg on it. If you want to know more, I recommend you check out the link in the corner after this video ends to see it, as well as other 4 cool facts of DBD. But don't leave this video yet, I still have more for Hillbilly. This is a very weird fact about one of Hillbilly's skins. In his vile scarecrow outfit, for some reason, the devs decided to give him these very weird, very realistic and clean teeth that are easier to see in the model but can actually be seen in game. For some reason this detail just creeps me out. Why does Hillbilly have such perfect square teeth on this skin specifically? And talking about skins, how about this cool fact for the blighted outfit for Billy? According to the name of the body part, it says conjoined souls, and I always wondered why is that, since for me it does not make any sense. Well, something I didn't know is how this skin has an actual second mini Hillbilly on the shoulder, and you can see its face in game. It even has the hairs of Hillbilly. I did not know this until I saw the concept art for the skin, where they show the mini Billy more clearly. Also, the skin has a lot of skulls all over it. It's the main reason it's my favorite top for Hillbilly. And just like Michael Myers, I saved the best for last. For all Hillbilly fans, this fact might be the coolest one ever, so Hillbilly's release was always weird for me. We know more of early concepts of newer killers like Oni, Clown or Deathslinger, but never of Hillbilly. And that's weird, because he's one of the oldest killers in the game. For sure they must have shown something cool about him, right? Well, digging up through a lot of developer streams in search of the source for the third way to escape mystery, I found something really cool about Billy, an early concept that they showed for a very short time almost at the end of a stream, and this is it. I think a lot of you have never seen these pictures of Hillbilly, so I am glad to share it with you guys. Sadly, I don't have a better quality one, so the text is almost impossible to read. Either way, this is a really cool pic because it shows that at some point the devs thought of giving a weaponized arm instead of having a sledgehammer. This would mean that Hillbilly's lore would have changed, and it's obviously inspired on Ash Williams. So this means that in another universe, where behavior chose to go to this idea despite the problems they gave them in-game, Hillbilly would have had a fully working Mad Max combat arm. I think by this point, it is possible that in order to fit the idea into the lore, Hillbilly would have to cut his own arm by accident while tinkering with his chainsaw, and since he's smart despite his looks, he designed his own weapon arm to fight with. Of course, the end design is simpler. There would have been issues with Hillbilly holding his chainsaw with that weird arm, but it's still a very cool fact. Tell me which character you would like to see in the next part of this series, and also check out my other content. You won't regret it. Subscribe.